This is a live mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are on the air.
Okay, we're ready. All right, well, good evening. Welcome to the meeting of the Growth Planning Committee for November 26, 2019. Start off with introduction of members and guests.
Werner Gilliam.
Dan Saunders.
Barbara Barwise.
Jim Fitzgerald.
Paul Hogan.
Janet Powell.
And guests today?
Tom Morgan.
Tom Morgan. Thank you, Tom. So first, I'd like to thank the members here for all the work they've done over the last month or so, and Werner and Tom and Liz on putting together and getting us rolling with our rewrite of the comprehensive plan. A lot of work went into it behind the scenes, a lot of emails discussing it, and I'd like to thank you all, as I was traveling quite often. So first thing on the agenda
If
is-
someone missed it, how would they watch it?
What's that?
I said if someone missed that, could they watch
Oh,
it?
Yes, they absolutely could watch it. It would be
Watch
the
what?
third thing on our agenda, but we'll jump right to it. You could go to www.youtube.com/channel/ oh my God, a bunch of stuff. We will have this link for you on the website.
If you search under YouTube and look
Search under
for
YouTube and
Town of Kennebunkport has its
Town,
own channel.
okay.
Oh,
yes.
Kennebunkport TV.
Kennebunkport TV.
Go to
Yeah,
Kennebunkport
yeah.
TV. Or you could also go to kennebunkportcp.info. And you will find your way to a really great
That was great.
yeah, conversation, discussion on Climate 101 and our comp
Scary
plan.
stuff.
So please take some time and look at that. All right, so first thing we have on the agenda is a review of minutes.
So moved, we accept the minutes.
Any second?
I second, thanks.
Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor? Okay, pass it on. Thank you, Barbara. Second thing on the agenda is Climate 101 and the comp plan debrief and the aforementioned video. Discussion, comments?
So, Tom, I don't know if, I've been getting some requests, for the PowerPoint and all that, and so I thought probably the best place is if we just have that on the website, somewhere in there.
It's there.
Is it there? Okay.
Yeah. And I assume maybe you wanted to put it on the town website too, or link to it, or?
Yeah, no, we can certainly do that, although I'll say in all fairness, this website is easier to navigate through.
Yeah. That's-
Right,
To find.
but if you go to the tab, you added a tab, Werner,
We
I
did.
think?
That takes you directly to this site.
Right, so if you
Yeah.
just look on the town's homepage,
Right.
top right, sort of,
No.
what is it, above special topics, or, I can't
It may
remember.
have taken the place of special topics.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, because the special topics were dated, issues that had been, that were no longer relevant. So I think that's what we did.
right, so that's the easiest way to get to it.
Yeah, we just renamed it.
I think it's important, though, we get people used to going to our
We
website
should, yes.
rather
yeah.
than somewhere else first even.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yep.
So we should put it all should be there in the kennebunkportcp.info as the place to find all our information.
Yep.
I did notice one technical glitch with the video. It's actually in two locations. One is at
Hold the mic up.
Kennebunkport TV. Is they broadcast the meeting there, and also on the YouTube. They're two separate websites. And my experience was YouTube worked, superbly, but the
Yep.
Kennebunkport TV was more picky about which browser you used, and I was having trouble with some browsers getting
Okay.
it to play back. But so I assume other people might have the same issue.
Yep.
Good to know.
I looked at it on YouTube and it was fine,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I would just suggest that we just have the YouTube link,
Yeah, okay.
It's easier,
because otherwise, it just takes you, for the,
3 more steps.
yeah, it doesn't take you to a static link for the, for the
Okay.
video. It just takes you to the, to the virtual, it's not virtual town hall, but the.
Then you gotta pick the town, then you gotta pick the month,
Town
then you
hall
gotta pick the
streams.
committee.
Right,
Yeah,
That might have actually been the source of the problem. I was posting a direct link
yeah,
and then having trouble playing it on some browsers.
right, yep.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had similar issues to where it would just take me back to the original page, and then you'd have to go through all the different processes of picking the community and committee and the date and all that, so.
So let's just use the one
I
link.
would just use the YouTube link.
Okay. So it was a really good turnout for those who haven't seen it. We had almost standing room only in here, so that was very good to see. Good discussions, questions and so forth that got a little bit bigger than the comp plan, but that's okay. Because it helps direct what townsfolk feel is important, so we appreciate all that feedback. I don't know, we've had a number of superlatives about the climate presentation. I'm not sure much more I could add to that.
Yeah. Nope.
I would just encourage everyone to please take the
Great.
time and watch it.
I haven't checked, but
Especially in the-
have we gotten any feedback through the Facebook page or not?
I have not looked.
Okay.
Especially in the light of the UN releasing their reports on climate change
Yeah.
today in the
Yeah.
news, so, and not so, not a good, yeah, wasn't a very good report. We're not doing a good job of reducing our CO2 emissions.
Yeah.
In any case. Anything else on 3? Hearing none, go to Prelude and Doodle poll. So for the Christmas Prelude, we'll be able to have a table in this
Right.
area, right, during our fire department. I'll put a plug in for the Kennebunkport Fire Department. It's a fire department's chili and hot dog event. So free chili and dogs. And
Where is
you
that,
can-
next door? In the?
It's right here.
Right
right
here.
here.
Oh, okay.
So
I
you can
mean,
get
we're
some-
talking right here.
Right here, right in the kitchen.
That window.
Right in that window. So you get your kitchen and your chili and dogs there, and all the information you'd like about the comprehensive plan at a table in some corner of the room. So hope you all come down and pick up your information and enjoy something lunch.
I had a question whether there was going to be vegetarian chili. Someone was turned on to your event because of our table and asked whether there's going to be vegetarian chili. I said, I don't know.
No, and the dogs won't be vegetarian either. So unfortunately, there won't be any vegetarian chili, but there'll be a warm place to come in if you're a vegetarian. Sorry.
What do you need for logistics for that? You know, in terms of setup or anything?
Good question. I would assume we just have a table,
Just a table, yeah.
just a table and some info on that we can hand out.
Just
Didn't
wanna
Liz
make
say
sure we
some
don't
whiteboards?
Get a,
Didn't Liz say some whiteboards?
Yes.
She's
gonna
got
bring
those.
some
Whiteboards.
She's bringing whiteboards.
Def-
Yeah.
Or doodle.
Yeah.
poll.
Okay.
We just need to probably schedule ourselves to be at the table,
yeah.
divide up the time period so that there's some
So-
coverage.
I will nail down the times, but usually it's like 10:30 we start, and we usually run till 2:30, or the chili runs out, one or the other.
What date is that?
14.
14th.
Yeah, it's the
Saturday.
second Saturday of Prelude.
Second Saturday, Prelude.
Got it.
I was asked to be a judge at a high school debate in Kennebunkport that
Okay.
day, where I passed.
And we probably should have like a sign-up sheet if people want to be contacted, right? Like we were doing with, at the last event. So the more information we get from folks, if they want to be shared.
I haven't received my marching orders yet, so I may be working that day
Okay,
from 10 to 12.
okay. I will be here the whole time, and I can fill in one spot or the other.
I'm available.
Okay, very good.
And in terms of literature to make available at that event, I passed them out. to
Great.
Liz?
These look great. They're beautiful.
They're beautiful,
Yeah.
they really are.
Thank you.
I like both sizes. These are great, the little
Did you get one,
ones.
Barb?
They're clean.
Did you get
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
Okay,
It started off, we were just gonna bring you a draft and see if you wanted to change the content.
really nice.
Then Liz and I started fooling around with different types of paper and different sizes and different printers. So we got kind of carried away here. That's why you have so many choices.
So you'd better like it.
You have actually 4 different kinds of paper in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice
Yeah.
4, I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
2.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Blind test.
Coated
Oh,
paper.
just the shiny
Coated paper,
versus,
blind
Yeah.
paper.
Yeah,
matte.
mostly the
Matte,
weight,
shiny.
yeah.
Yeah.
The weight, and of course, one of them's half size.
Yeah.
If you all have any preferences, you know, let us know. I thought at first I liked the smaller one, but then my eyes aren't as good as they used to be. Some of that stuff I found kind of hard to read, but just because of size.
yeah,
Yeah.
I like the small because you can stuff it in your pocket easier,
Yeah.
or your
I agree.
pocketbook,
Go right
or,
up on the refrigerator at home?
yeah,
Yeah.
Sure.
Right, so you can.
yeah, with the back, the dates on the back, you might do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Whereas this is large for that
Yeah.
kind of,
Mhm.
yeah, I like the small. I don't think
Okay.
the print is, I don't have my glasses on, I can read it.
Okay.
Dan, you've got longer arms, so,
Yeah, well, actually, I take my glasses off to read it close.
So I imagine we could use a flyer like this not only at the Prelude, but also get it to other places in town where people are likely to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we always have, handouts and things like that at town hall, and
Yeah.
other places. So, yeah, I mean, this would be, I agree. I'm personally, I'd
Yeah.
lean towards
I lean towards this.
towards this half size here.
You
I
put
think
these in the
that's a-
library, you know. park
this is,
town.
I think this is better for a bulletin board, but we don't need that many of
Yeah.
those.
No,
Right.
yeah.
So in terms of our publicity plan, how many of these smaller ones do you think we should print?
Yeah, good question.
Got some dates on the back here.
Couple hundred?
Okay.
200, I think, would be plenty.
Yeah.
I was gonna say 250.
I mean, I don't know what the pricing is, as it goes up, if there's a benefit of getting 300 instead of 200 because of the pricing, then go ahead and do that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So
Something like that.
I had no idea how many
Yeah.
for a number, so I didn't even look into that yet.
Yeah, because, I mean, especially it's got all the dates right through July 2020. So they're good for the next 7-8 months.
We could give them out at the new election
Yeah, sure. on the
day
7th.
in
January
January.
Right,
Seven.
January, yep.
That would be a great thing to have.
Okay, and if 200 is not enough, we can always make some more.
See how many we get rid of on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
excellent. So that's Prelude. Doodle poll. Keep saying poll.
Well, I think we covered that at the last meeting. I only noticed this was on the agenda after
Okay.
it went out, but I have nothing more to add about the poll.
Okay, very good.
We nailed down the questions.
Yeah,
so
you
we're-
made this selection at the last meeting,
So we're all good?
yeah.
All right. Anything else on Christmas Prelude?
So when were we gonna do the poll? I don't remember that.
At the Prelude.
But the doodle is, someone does online, right? You're gonna,
Yes, yeah.
And there's a.
two different things.
There's
I
a
think-
sticky dot part of it.
Right, that's
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
people who are
That's
present.
here, yeah.
And we're
That's
gonna use the doodle
live,
for
right.
people,
Yeah,
so we need to distribute that somehow.
right.
So we would need to do like a town mailing, emailing,
Yep.
either probably to the whole town list, not just to the growth planning list with that poll, afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, we can certainly use the town website, for folks that sign up for the general notices. We can certainly do it that way. I mean, that's
Right, just send it to the
Probably.
general notice list,
that's the best way to do that.
yeah.
Yep. So once you get that put together,
Okay,
I
yeah.
can have that sent out.
All right.
Preferably farther away from Christmas.
So how much spacing do we think we need?
Yeah, and that's a good point, because, I mean,
People
I
don't-
think that's a good point about timing.
Yeah,
Yes.
I can tell you my email is getting bombarded
Yes.
with anything and everything right now.
Right.
So,
and your mailbox too.
right, so,
So what is your preferred timing?
well, I guess it depends what are the questions for the doodle poll, are we doing,
Why don't we do it before the 14th? And then it would be a way to also say, did you see the, if you already took the email, you don't need to do if you already did the poll, you don't need to do it now, but
So
if you,
it's the same questions, you're just doing it in a doodle, poll format,
I think so,
and the sticky dots are just more of a manual
right.
process that you're
Different
having.
Yeah,
interface.
that you're
I
posting
believe that
here.
was Liz's intent, but
Right.
I'll
Okay.
double check on
Yeah.
that.
All right. Yeah, and I mean, there's nothing that says that we can't send it out a couple times, through the
Right.
website.
Yeah, it's pretty easy and efficient.
Yep.
Is that something we could also do again at the election on the 7th?
Well, the doodle you do online.
Do
So
online,
Yeah.
but the
you could,
sticky dots.
the sticky dots, we could do it if we had people
Yeah, just have to be, yeah,
at the table.
right, have to have a
Table
table set out in a barn.
Right.
When is the election?
The 7th?
7th of January.
It's a special election.
Special election we're running, so it just gives an opportunity to get the
Right.
town folks again,
Right.
right?
Yeah, you'd see as many people that day as the
Yeah.
chili day.
Right, and like you were commenting earlier, with Chili Day, may be a lot of out-of-town folks coming,
Yeah, and
As
vegans
well.
too.
and vegans, unfortunately. Not unfortunately, I'm glad they're coming, but unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to serve them anything other than a roll. With some juice or something, a hot coffee maybe. I actually had, one time, a woman came in and I said, well, it's a fire department chili. And she says, well, there's a great fireman out in Arizona who's got a great recipe for
Oh.
vegan chili, so we haven't got it yet. Anyways, there'll be a mix of people, townsfolks or out-of-town folks at the chili versus the election will certainly be
Town.
town folks.
Better be.
Yeah. Okay. All right, anything else on 4? No. Okay, hearing none. Next is coordinating with civic groups.
When we were discussing a few weeks back about publicizing Climate 101, Paul, you sent an email that was, intrigued me anyways. You listed half a dozen groups that had mailing lists.
Yeah.
And to some extent, we succeeded in getting the word out.
Right. It went to several of those, for
Right.
sure.
Right. So is there anything more we can do to, enhance that publicity approach or do it the same way with the next event? I mean,
Remind me which groups received,
The,
We sent it to the Residents Association, we sent it to the
ARA.
Trust,
Yep.
we sent it to
ARA?
GRB
I've got a whole,
gatherings.
if you look at the minutes,
Okay,
that's 8 of them.
got it, thanks.
Got them all?
I'm just
Yep.
thinking people who we actually
Yeah,
sent
but
to.
they, when he said yes, but if
So I
you're
know we
reading
sent
up-
it to 3,
Yeah,
Yep,
Library was
Li-
another.
but they didn't do it on a mailing list.
It was
They-
supposed to be done, it was overlooked, but the
Oh, but
second,
they
but
would've.
something, yes, we had set it up, but it was overlooked. But there was a second attempt to do it.
yeah.
And I think there were people that did hear about it, from the library.
yep, okay.
Yeah, we should have asked, how did you hear about the event?
Yeah.
That would have been
That-
helpful.
Okay.
if we
Yeah, I mean,
thought
I
of
think
that.
that's a good list, KRA.
So there were a few we didn't
Conservation
hit.
Trust, Chamber of Commerce, Graves, newcomers.
Yeah, we didn't-
GRB, Portside, Senior Center.
Yeah, we didn't get newcomers. I don't think we did Portside Rotary, and we didn't do the senior center. But we did,
Right,
and Chamber, I guess the Chamber.
and the chamber. So we
Yeah,
did,
that one.
we did half of what we,
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
and I just didn't know how to communicate with the others.
Yeah.
I didn't,
About town employees, were they aware?
Yeah,
They were?
yeah, it's tricky, not everybody has email,
Yeah, right.
so there's,
Sure.
not everybody has
Town
not every
email.
employee has a town email account.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Ah.
those that do are, are aware.
Yeah. Not very many are residents.
That's okay, that's part of the outreach. They're
so we should just
a
try to
stakeholder.
find emails for those other,
Yeah.
for the, the chamber.
Do we know who, like, the leads are for these?
I don't know
groups?
offhand, but
Any chance?
I don't know.
I called the chamber, I talked to a secretary, but I never got a call back. I don't know who runs the chamber. I haven't.
Laura
So
Dulce.
you got Laura Dulce.
I would just send it right to Laura Dulce.
Yeah.
And there's an info address that you can send things to.
DOLCE.
Okay.
A newcomers, Paul, is that still?
It's probably Kate.
Kate, it's still Kate?
Yeah, so I'll give you the addresses we did.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
because the second time you could send directly to them,
Yeah.
now
so
that we've,
that would be helpful. If you could send an email around as far as who was contacted
Okay.
in which of those groups, and then if, if you need any more contact, I can fill in the
Yeah.
blanks, and then we can get them so that we have kind of a centralized list of,
Yeah, who
you
the
know,
main contacts are.
yeah,
for
the
each group.
contact points there.
Okay.
And Liz tells me that the sign-up sheet had about 20 email addresses on it, too.
Good, good.
So we know those folks are interested, and we'll put those right into our direct mail list.
One thing that Paula suggested I ask, and then I forgot, because I got nervous when I was standing up in front of everybody.
Oh, gosh.
Talking, for whatever reason, but, was to ask them how many were from Kennebunkport and how many were from other towns, because we did have other,
Oh, yeah,
we had a gentleman from Arundel.
Arundel, yeah.
And from some other towns, so that would have been just kind of interesting to know how many others had shown up.
Yeah.
How many people did you recognize in the crowd?
most.
Most, although
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say there were some new faces.
Absolutely.
And I do think, we had folks from other communities there. I recognized a couple of folks from Kennebunk,
Yeah,
that were there, so.
looked like there might have been some UNE. Some were taking notes, like,
I only saw the back
Alright.
of the minutes.
yeah.
today.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right, any other discussion on coordinating with civic groups? Okay, very good. So next steps. We have A, review of baseline report, December 10th, 2019.
I passed out a little book tonight. It's certainly not intended for discussion this evening, because you haven't had a chance to read it yet. But it was part of the proposal we gave to the town. As one of our first steps would be to have a look at the documents that have already been completed in the last 10 years or so. And Werner was helpful. He gave us several documents. We put them up on the website. Those would include the housing charrette, the workforce housing analysis, of course, the 2012
Yes.
comprehensive plan, current zoning ordinance. And those are most of the documents we had a look at, and the intent was just to see what's there, and just to give a kind of a first impressions as to, for example, in the comp plan, how many of the recommendations actually got implemented.
Yeah.
We're gonna get a better handle on that as time goes on, but that will be our starting point. When we start to make new recommendations, we'll say, well, this one here sounded like a good idea back in 2012, but it didn't happen, so
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
Sure.
Werner, do we have a summary of that? You know,
That's- I was just gonna
you were
ask.
getting the feedback.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, we do. Yeah, and I'll make that available to you, what was
Okay.
collected.
Okay. So, our plan was to have a conversation on this document at your next meeting on December 10th. So
Okay.
Okay.
you'd have a couple weeks to digest it.
Is this online? Will this be posted in case anyone at home wants to take a look at it?
We'll do that first thing tomorrow morning.
That'd be great.
It's hot off the presses.
The blue boxes that say minimum policies required,
Yeah.
those are just extracted from the state without regard to the content?
That was exactly, that's a good point, Paul, because that was my question first time I looked at the blue box. Because I says, I had to ask the same question, is this the state? And of course, the answer is yes, that's chapter 208. which they required of, they're required for your comp plan.
Right, so it's not an assessment of what was
No.
there or what we need.
No, it's just,
It's just the whole thing.
just giving you some context, what the state's gonna be looking for in order to certify this thing.
Yeah, currently, right?
Yeah.
It's updated,
Yeah,
because obviously it met the state plan last time.
yes, it did.
So-
And for the most part, the state criteria are the same as last time.
We did have some feedback, right, from the state. When we first
Yeah.
said this is really good, but next time, you may want to consider doing this.
Yeah, yeah, I can get that, I can
probably-
get that,
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I can get the review
What-
document.
Yeah, what kind of things was the state looking for that were,
Oh, gosh,
It's too long ago
I-
to remember.
I don't remember
Off
all
the top
the
of my head.
specifics, but
okay,
I can get that,
All right.
make that available.
Yeah. Because actually, when we were charged with writing that plan back in 2005, after it had failed, we were directed by the Board of Selectmen to not worry about what the state requirements are, just get something that the town will
Pass.
pass.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
we
you,
worked,
you did both.
we did both. We worked to do both, because we wanted it to pass, for
Yeah.
obvious reasons. And so it did, even though they didn't really like the way we were proceeding with the chapter by chapter, at the end of the day, it was acceptable, so.
Warren,
And
I
that's
was
not the
just,
current selectman, by the way. Different group.
Warren, I was just flipping through and I saw hazard mitigation. I was just wondering about the flood map effectiveness.
Which, what page are you on?
Well, it has not, it's sort of, it's just, I'm on page 11, but it just I was reminded that we had discussed the flood map and the various activities, and
Issues
it was supposed to
surrounding the,
become effective later this month. Am I
No.
right? No?
well, we're in a, we're in a bit of a complex process right now where, flood maps went back to, well, they didn't go back to, FEMA chose a number of years ago to go to countywide models as opposed
Right.
to, individual town, detailed studies, which is what, historically, what a lot of communities have. And so, we've been through, I don't know, 3, 4 versions, of the study and the map since 2009. And the current version, as you all know, there's a number of communities that were appealing the study for the technically it's the 2018 maps, although really for the port, very little changed from from the 2017 to the 2018 version. And where we're at in process now is that they had, so FEMA had rejected the appeal documents on the basis that there was a mistake in one of the calculations, which when we had the consultants rerun the calculations where they fixed the error, at least for Kennebunkport, it was determined that it didn't change any of the end result base flood elevations in the calcs. I think it actually only changed elevations in 2 transects in Old Orchard at the end of the day. So, but they had determined that it was such a dramatic error that that they couldn't move forward and denied the appeal. So in the meantime, what's occurred is that of course the communities have all submitted the revised information, the corrected information. What FEMA does with it at this point now, we'll see.
Oh, I see.
But a number of other communities, one in York and one in Cumberland County, have filed for the scientific resolution panel process, which effectively what that does is it puts the county studies on hold again. Because it's a countywide study, it affects the whole, it affects, the whole study for both counties at this point. So, and this was done understanding that as a group, these communities were working together to try to come to a resolution here. And, by doing this, this provided us with the most options to deal with FEMA's process. So, what it also allowed is that if you filed for a scientific resolution panel process, you essentially also waived a certain amount of legal rights to appeal later on. Also in terms of looking at the success rate of the scientific resolution panel, it's found that even though it's a process, there's very few, if any, good success stories, out of that process. So FEMA has come back with I would say, a revised process to get this
Oh, good.
to get this information into play. We're a little unsure in terms of exactly how this is going to work out. It potentially has the effect of having to adopt one map, but then accept a letter of map revision process that would then change those maps. So for one day you have one set of maps, and then it flips over to another set.
Yikes.
I don't want to get into the weeds on it, but it has a lot.
Well, you just did.
Has a lot of people scratching their heads as to how this makes sense. But this is FEMA's suggested
Remedy, right.
approach. So, so we're looking at that. What
Got it.
that looks like. Ultimately, we want to get the best data that we have into the maps. And that's really is the end goal. So, once we have a clearly determined path that that we're going to pursue, then we'll let folks know what that's going to look like. But short story is that I don't see the maps going into effect anytime soon here. I don't think we'll be in a position to have them in effect for or to be voted on for acceptance for June. Which is what legislatively has to happen. So,
Oh, I see.
but yeah, the town ultimately has to vote to accept the maps by reference into the floodplain management ordinance. So it's technically you all vote, but it's not really much of a choice. If you don't vote to accept them, then the town becomes ineligible for the
Flood
NFIP.
insurance,
So that's not really much of a choice, but
It is a choice.
it is a choice.
And some people will vote no.
That's right.
Oh, yes,
Yep.
they sure will.
Some folks will for sure. So, but.
Well, I got my bill. I'll get it paid.
Yeah, and there's, for those of you that are interested, there's also on the insurance side of it, from what I understand, FEMA's kind of changing how they're going to approach the insurance aspect of it.
I'm sure.
Which I don't get super involved on the insurance side of it. I'm mostly involved in the building construction and the development side of what those maps look like. But on the insurance side, there's some significant movement in terms of how that's gonna be addressed. And ultimately for property owners, that'll, my sense from reading through it was not less expensive, but more.
Oh, yes.
So,
Well, it's been reasonable. It's been between $450. I think this year it's $482.
right, well, they've got limits.
Of course, it's based on valuation.
Well, and the Bigger Waters Act, placed limits in terms of, by how much those premiums could increase,
Yeah.
within each year. Primarily just so that folks didn't get hit with these big massive increases all at once. But ultimately, at the end of the day,
It will happen.
policies are all moving towards, moving to a much higher rate. And certainly the subsidies for second homes are going away. But-
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, so for our homework, we have to review this for
Yeah.
discussion at the next meeting on December 10th. Any other discussion on next steps? Anything else?
We'll have some more reading material for you on December 10th.
Okay.
Okay, other business? Any other business?
Yeah, I have none. I think we've covered everything.
Okay. Hearing none. Last one on the agenda.
Jim?
Adjourn.
I'll move, we adjourn.
Oh, okay, if you wanna do it that way, that's fine.
You just hurt his feelings.
I didn't know Jim was here.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.